Welcome to Drivetime Exchange. As rubber hits the road, hard talk meets great music. Monday to Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. on Nett Radio, taking you above and beyond.
Everybody, so good day to you, and of course welcome to the afternoon drive time right here on a New Era TT Radio. This is our drive time exchange, and of course this is where we deal with so many fantastic topics, and in between here we are led by none other than journalist extraordinaire, I like to call him, Mr. Tony Fraser. Tony, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Charlo. How was things? Plenty rain today.
I love it.
Yeah. How did your tribute to your birthday daughter?
Oh my word!
Yesterday.
It, as I said, it was a resounding success.
Wonderful. So you're a good daddy.
Yes,
Father's Day coming up, and you're sure to get some good reward.
Yes.
For your daddyhood.
Yes. Look out for that.
Great man. Well, we are returning to a subject which has some kind of bearing on fatherhood and moving the lives of people forward from very difficult situations. We had one program of the kind earlier this week when we had Calypsonian Gypsy with us talking about his days in Mayaro, and also the scrap iron dealer, Alan, talking about how he has moved from where he moved from, or where he started from, to where he is today. And we want to continue that discussion. We have agreement from 3 persons to be on the program. I'm seeing one of them. Any others in the outside there, Charlo?
Actually, no, not as yet. But as they come in, I will definitely let you know.
Wonderful. So we have the first one on the screen, Ballyram Maharaj, a significant man in the supermarket industry, especially the small supermarkets. We have had the big ones with us for 100 years or more. But Ballyram Maharaj was one of those fellows who pioneered. He probably was not the first. He will tell us about that. But he surely is one of those early ones who got into the business of opening up small supermarkets in critical areas like Arima and so on and so on. He is, I understand, a product of Arima, one of those proud Arimians. Good afternoon to you, sir. You got to take off. Your microphone is on mute. You got to take it off.
Yeah. Yeah, put it on. Yeah. So, yeah.
You got to, if you're hearing me, all right. Good. Go ahead now.
Go ahead, Mr. Maharaj.
I think the microphone is still on mute.
No, actually, it's on mute now, so we should be hearing him.
Are
Mr.
you
Maharaj,
hearing
are you
him? I
hearing
am
us?
not.
I hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, good.
No, no, I'm hearing you. Good
Okay,
afternoon
thank
to
you.
you, sir.
Thank you and your members, the staff there.
Yes.
And understand me is live, listening public.
Live and direct with
Okay, well,
visuals. And I'm
well,
also seeing the visual of your book, from Tomato Boy to a business magnet. And a young picture of you. You were kind of handsome fella in your youth.
still is.
All right, we're going to be joined by two other persons in a moment. But in the meantime, what I want to get from you, Mr. Maharaj, as I indicated when I invited you, uh, there are lots of young people today who find themselves in difficult situations for one reason or the other. They don't have parents with them to give them support. They got themselves into difficulties of one kind or the other, and so on. And they feel there is no way out. So, what I have attempted to do is to assemble some people who came from very difficult circumstances but fought their way through. So, what I want to do is to have you give us an appreciation of where Ballyram Maharaj, the tomato boy, has come from. Over to you, sir.
Um, it's all in this book, The Life of Ballyram Maharaj. And that book was not written just to go on the shelf and get dust. It's a book that I took over 20 years with sitting professors and so on. And even my good friend who passed away, Mr. Rushford, wrote on that book. And I went from the beginning. So if I should short circuit this thing, I think the song you played a while ago by Shadow, Poverty is Hell, but it's not a crime and it's not a way to give up. My indentured parents, grandparents came to Trinidad by the boat Matla in 1911, and they were poor. They were taken advantage of in a smaller way. But my knowledge, speaking to them, they came through the Palakani, suffered. My grandmother was pregnant, injected her, take out the baby, throw it in the sea. All these what they told me, because when I asked my father why they did that to his mother, basically they calculated the reason is that having a baby distort those parents from working. And they came to a Grove estate, and both mother and father had to work by day. Father worked 7 days, dust the dawn, was I think 12 cents a day. And the mother now will work if every other day, and they alternate the ladies. But if you have baby, um, you'll have to. My name might be Maharaj, our grandparents, and they were Hindus. And my grandmother will see that baby Mr. Rahim, who is Muslim. So Jahati is where people are not families. So because of the colonial kind of rules of how they maximize the use of indenture, whatever it is, you'll have to nurse the baby. So with the Muslims and Hindus indenture, we nurse. My father had to nurse a Muslim mother one day, then the other day that mother came by a Hindu mother. These are the experiences I have there. But they signed a bond, and for 5 years it's up. My father had an option to either pay his passage to go back, or he got a lot of land. And my grandfather took the land and he built a tapia house, and they continued to go cane, and the boys, my father had the siblings, 7 of them, and a tapia house, and they continue working 7 days a week privately, and they probably get some jobs with the Karuni. One of the things they was a must for those people a long time was a cow. And that made it easy. Cow was a big thing in India and here. When you're poor, you have a cow, you're good to go with children and milk and so on. And there's other added value items that you could get from a cow. To fast track the story, that they made it there, and then my father got married to some really not too poor, but some family in Maharaj, and they were able to help him. Sorry you can't see the picture there, but you're going to lift it up in the back and show it. And when my father was 16 years, he got married to my mother. And about 3 years after, they come and they build this house, a parlor, where we're side to what? Just for your sake, this is where they started. Where we're side is at a parlor. So, based on the topic today, I want to show the younger people where out of evil cometh good. He learned from his father, my father. 7 days a week is what you could give and build, put food on the table, and bring a family. But he did mention poverty is a crime. He sat there and they would always talk about the advantage. They would take to a lesser degree than slaves. Although they get some lick sometimes, but it wasn't as bad as the slavery. And from that parlor, I was told in 1942, that's the year I was born, again with the war, and the relation which will have to work back to the Tony. I could call you Tony because I'm older than you.
That's my name, sir, and you could call me that as you choose to. That's my name. I have no problem with that.
You could call me Bali too. I don't want to be a thing and it's handled temporary. A lot of people feel that is a downfall for us. That's a story by itself. Yeah. When you get handled, doctor, and you're handsome, you're a good cricketer, you change your whole attitude towards people. But you don't remain as what you're supposed to be. So back to this thing now, we build the parlor and the Americans had a base in Arima. And believe it or not, that is what started up. They started to sell food and all kind of thing in the parlor group. From a parlor to a bigger parlor, to a shop, to a mini mart, to a supermarket, Westside supermarket, to several supermarkets, Jumbo, Hardy Foods, Ashley's. Today we the wholesale ADM, we are importers, exporters. I just explaining you for the young people to hear the story, history, but the toll. And permit me, Tony, to tell you a phrase Pandey used. A leader is a failure if you do not teach other leaders. I've given you 2 hours of my time today to educate the young and next generation that poverty might be a crime, poverty might be hell, but you could work 7 days a week, honestly, hard, and that is where it started to build from garden, tomatoes. As a young boy, 8 or 9 years, I to go to school at 10 years, I have to water their plants in the home garden and help peel from city to sell in the parlor. Of course, we were out of school. So we had to work to get 24 cents to go to the town, pay a bus, backward and forward, buy lunch, and come back home. So that takes care of my teenage at 16 years.
Yeah.
And
All right. So here what Ballyram. We're gonna come back to more details of your situation of growing up and how you and one of the things I think you are saying is that it took a couple generations to move from one place to the other. And it didn't magically happen overnight. And sometimes a lot of young people feel that there should be magic in terms of their own lives. And sometimes it's more hard work than magic. I see Garth Sinclair has joined us. Garth, afternoon to you. All
Hey,
right.
Tony, good
yes, sir.
afternoon. Yes,
Afternoon.
I'm just getting in the house. Got stuck in some traffic. So can I beg for about 2 minutes, please?
All right, fine. When you're
Yeah.
ready, just come back in and put your picture on the screen and we're going to come to you. All
I
right?
appreciate that. All right,
Good.
will do.
No problem. Yes, so that leaves us with, so we still have one more guest who will come in, we presume in a short while from now. Maybe he's out on the street also, finding it difficult to get to where he should be. Um, Ballyram Maharaj, one of the things that I took out from what you've said is the importance of working together as a family. And there are young people who may not have a family, but there are those who do have families. And therefore, the lesson is that, from what you've said, is to work together, to build from scratch, to move forward. You talked about a parlor and then a bigger parlor, etc., etc. Was that important in your life, in the development of Ballyram Maharaj into something of significance or someone of significance today?
Most definitely, Tony, because earlier on I told you that what we could give is our labor. We don't have no money. We had to put food on the table. In those days, my father was working to put food on the table, and those people wanting to learn from the poverty is to educate these children and don't let them go through that hell. So we had a parlor, here's a peel pump city. I had to peel 100 pumps a day before I go to school to give me 25 cents. And my other brother might be making chana in packs and one doing sandwiches and so on. And when we finish, we take the bus and go to school. But that family working together, you see, Tony, where parents break up is a part of single mothers and leaving children and going to America with grandmother and trying to solve that bullying in school and the education system is no parenting. And that's why it's very important. We had a father and a mother and a grandmother checking on me all the time, grandparents checking on him, and he checking on them. They were all living, and I know my grandmother and my grandfather. No, I don't know none of my grandfather. My two grandmothers, mother, and father, mother. So we grew up with that love and Jews and dentures. People came home here with a big jazzy bottle with a big sheet tied up with all the necessary seeds and everything. But one thing they walk inside that bag was the culture and the religion, the Bhagavad Gita and the Ramayana. And they live it. And they show the grandmother live it and have these and and charity to give back to who was poor, help them, but nothing in return. You don't give with one hand and without the other. That's a lesson. Very important. You work, you save some, you give some, and you spend your money if you have choices, building a house or a child education.
So it was an instance of the poor helping the poor.
Well, no, well, at that time, I will not say we were that poor. We could have put food on the table, and my father could have taken us on a Sunday and carry us on the beach, and we get meat on a Sunday, a chicken, and we have to make that work. I'll get everybody to share on a meat on a Sunday. We could, and we are now elevated to eating meat because they came from what they eat when they left the sugar estate. They had shrimps, no, kongs, and fish from the river, and common fowls. They survive on that. So the question here is, poverty is a hell. I hear the song, but we always have this. Well, you put it, and I want to make it clear with the young people who watch it or the parents. They play the integral part. Parents, know where your children are. Observe what they're buying. Even they bring a gift for you. You know they can't wear that. You can't buy that Nike shoe. You bring in a picture for you. You know something is wrong. Because if I should go straight to the system to know for the young people's sake, the education system, there's 30,000 write exam and 2,000 fail. 10% of that is 200 children. The people who wear the gold and the neck and so on, you know better than me, want them 200 children. That is the one that want to teach them how to get rich quick and not to go through 7 days a week, hard work, and sweating it out, or whatever you get on food on the table and your education. Here it is, a fellow now leave school, fail his exam, but he can start with a distance with somebody to have a gold chain and a little thing to smoke in the pocket. So they will take those 200 failures from the education system as a story by itself. I'm totally agreeing and telling myself the education system is part of cause the bullying and failures. Too much of stress for them children, the parents, the neighbors.
Okay, that's a very important point that you're bringing up there, Ballyram. And it's something we're going to come back to later in the program because a lot of difficulties are happening in the school system. Over the last 2-3 days, we heard about all kinds of what amounted to mini riots inside of the school system. And we're going to come and talk about that in a moment. Garth and Clair is back with us after his trial on the road. Welcome back, Garth.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right, and if you have a light to shine on you, we want to see your face, man. We want to see a good-looking face and all of that.
I may have to readjust my
angle. All right, as we go along, you could do that. But I see you a little better now. Garth Sinclair is a man who likes to tease me to kill myself, really. The man exercising, throwing down big rock, big ball, and so on. He telling me I must come and join him in that. But he's a soldier. He was a soldier. And his deviation from the straight and narrow, I believe, came a little bit different from Ballyram Maharaj in the sense of Ballyram explaining that he was born in poverty and they struggled for some time but succeeded in the end. And that's the message I really want to send across to especially young people who feel that if they fail exams, if they were not born with a gold spoon in their mouth, so to speak, if their family didn't have a lot of cash and so on. And we heard a story from Alan Ferguson, the Iron Man, the Iron Dealer, about his own struggles and so on early in his life. Uh, Gas, tell us about your beginnings and your difficult period.
Well, first, let me correct you. I'm still a soldier. I'm not active, but I'm still a soldier. So once a soldier,
Once a soldier, always a soldier.
a soldier. Never leave me. I'm just staying ready, just in case. Have to get
Okay,
ready.
all right.
Right? So
And you know, these days we have some possibility. You know, we might go to war with a neighbor of ours, and we had to deal with them. Anyhow, that's by the way. Go ahead, Gus.
but I want to say good afternoon to everyone, Mr. Maharaj as well.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. Very interesting
Yeah,
story. And
name is Bali.
again,
Bali is good for me.
Bali.
God, I call you God, you call me Bali.
All right, Bali. Yeah. Thank you for
I'm
giving me
not
that
sure you
clearance.
give a little speech extra, I will call Mr. But forget that.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I did Ballyram Maharaj a disservice in introducing him. I forgot to say that he's the mayor of Arima. So that from tomato boy to grocery man to mayor of the big environment of Arima. Sorry about
Yes.
that, Mr. Ballyram.
No, 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 no. We
Mayor of
all,
Arima.
even our good prime minister, everybody's entitled, no matter how big it is. We all
Right,
could make mistakes for the past prime minister. But we have to understand that that's life. That's why I
right,
tell you, I want to maintain my philosophy all the time. Don't let money, fame, good looking, sports change your attitude.
right.
Talking to you, Tony, but I want to share it here. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Right, go ahead. I like the good looking part, but that's another story. Guys, go ahead.
Yes. So that from the beginning I talk about I used to go up with that, but it was a little different in the sense that growing up in a dysfunctional home, and I'm recognizing the same thing I was right now. Growing up in a dysfunctional home was a very challenging time for me, being the eldest of three, and yeah, I was witness to my father beating my mother several times, and when my father left, I being the eldest, I don't know if I resembled him or what, but in the black sheep of the family immediately. In my mind, I couldn't do anything right. And it was a challenge, dealing with my mom. I know now that I understand it was a little misdirected anger and so on. And, but I learned a lot of, you're stupid just like your father, your head big just like your father, your walk is just like your father, and just had that feeling that I wasn't loved. So eventually, I decided to jump ship and join the military. But going to the military with a lot of baggage too as well. And for some reason, I overcame that and I excelled because I put more pressure on myself to perform because of what I do there. And so I insisted that I must do well, and I did. The, During recruit training, I stood out, best shot in my batch, and when I graduated, I became a physical training instructor after 4 years because I worked overtime to not only to my mom, but to myself that I'm not, that what this person that she thought I was. And eventually, I became an instructor after just 4 years. And during that period of time, and I mean, a well-respected physical training instructor at that. And but during that time, I was introduced to crack cocaine. And when that first approach, because I decided to go back to school and wanted to get my passes and just have to, and um, this older soldier approached me and said, "Look, he found me sleeping on my books one night, and I said, yeah, boy, pressure, being an instructor and having to study is kind of hard. So I said, well, I'll bring something for you tomorrow and I'll keep you." He did. came with crack cocaine the next day and took a hit. That was it. My life turned upside down from there because it was no longer that dedicated, professional soul. I now was living to get this job because the first shot of crack cocaine that I got, I felt that was the best thing ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And I say, well, if something that
Gas,
tastes so good,
sorry, Gas, before you go on, you made a tremendous point there, which I want you to elaborate a little bit on before you go ahead. And of course, I will allow you to tell your story. Is that you were going fine. Difficulties, yes, but the influence of others came into the picture and took you away. How does a young fella, given the experience that you have, how do you get away? How does a young fella get away from that kind of negative influence?
that doesn't start from home. That has to be embedded because of low self-esteem. When I grew up with low self-esteem, and because of growing up with low self-esteem, it's easily able, easily able to influence to do. Because I felt this was a senior soldier and full corporal at that. So he was the one who actually introduced crack cocaine to the force because he worked for the Lane at the time, the Lane of Arima. So, but because of my low self-esteem, I didn't want him to. There was a term in army they used to call jumpy, and anytime you are supposed to do something, I say, you have a jumpy, So I didn't want to hear that. I just felt that I was strong enough even though I said yes, but I feel like I'll just use it for the time, At that time, crack cocaine, remember the 80s, crack cocaine became a phenomenon then. So we didn't know much about it. And I too was ignorant of what was going to happen next. Who said it would keep me up in the night. And that's what I wanted to hear because we were encouraged to get the 5 passes so that I could become a commissioned officer to the goal, because I was really going good. And so because of my low self-esteem, and that has to start from home. Your parents must let their children know that you must be confident enough to say no and walk away from friends who insist that you do something that you know goes against the law or goes against your upbringing. That has to be embedded in a child. And that child must feel strong enough to say, you see, this school is not for me, I go on. So that I wouldn't find myself, as we see today, 5 or 6 people beating on one person. That wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to belong to that. So I wasn't given that confidence in myself to say no and walk away. So that was the biggest problem for me.
Yeah, that was a big lesson there, Gas. Low self-esteem, which should be built into your life from young, family life, etc., etc. If you have that kind of low self-esteem, you fall prey to all kinds of things. I think that's what you're saying. All right, continue from where you left off.
Yeah, so once he showed me how to do it, he showed me how to do the black cigarette and everything, and took me down my creek and tell me like that, and I listened and I swear that this was the sweetest thing I've ever tasted. And I say, wow, if this could keep me up at night, but that's it, And but the thing is, when people offer you drugs, they don't tell you the fallout from it. Drugs don't come in any rule book; they just show you how to use it and you're on your own. So I couldn't get that taste out of my mouth. And for people who don't understand the class A drug like crack cocaine is not a high. It's a feeling that lasts for like 10 to 15 to 20 seconds, depends on the grade of it. So this is why it's needed like every 10 minutes, because the best part of it, if you just say that, is when you're actually smoking it. But once that is done, it's done. There's a crash, and you need to get it again to go back up to that cloud9 feeling,
So it has that effect of of holding you into the drug. There is no release from it if you want to attain the kind of heights that you felt when you originally took it.
Yeah, it's actually like swallowing someone who from then on will tell you what to do and turn on that crave button every time, every 10, 15 minutes, because he has to be fed, And I heard an expert describe crack cocaine one time as the closest thing you can get to an orgasm because, an orgasm took on for 2 hours. So it's the same thing, right? And it leaves you hanging there and there's a sort of crack. So from a euphoric feeling to a depressed feeling. Nobody wants to feel depressed. So I decided, okay, this is it for me. So I gave him money and he started bringing it for me until I started buying for myself. And then the clincher happened where a lot of other sailors and soldiers started falling prey to it too as well. Now, back in the day, there wasn't anything about substance abuse issues and what causes it. The seniors back then, like Ralph Brown and Mrs. Ralph Brown and Joe Taylor and all of them, they didn't care. Once they catch you, you were gone. Because word started going around and people started missing stuff, kids started missing, weapons started missing, and not realizing what hit them, they just decided to get rid of the problem rather than try to find out what was going on. I was one of those who passed in that. So I was eventually discharged. And without any help.
Yeah. So there is need for an intervention by someone, some organization, some institution in these situations. Yes?
You mean the protective service?
Well, anywhere, whichever institution you might be in, a normal commercial job. I am saying that the need is for an intervention by someone or some institution.
Yeah, especially to see if you had someone who's a good worker, professional, never gave any problem. All of a sudden, they run into financial difficulties. They starting to look on camp. They starting to show up late. A lot of excuses for a lot of things why they come in late or not showing up at all. Once you start to see a pattern, and then people complaining about things missing on the job, and or your salary, everybody just got paid, but by 2 days after, you want money borrowed.
Yeah.
These are telltale signs that something is wrong. It can either be gambling or crack cocaine, because crack cocaine and gambling is almost the same symptom, you know. So yeah, that's what happened, and I was discharged from there.
Yeah, well, as you talk about that, I can relate a situation which happened to us at a radio station, and I won't call the name, but there was one young man here as part of the team who was an excellent operator, technical operator, and we saw him slipping away, and we did nothing. I'm not even sure if we knew what was happening. We just fretted every moment that the man is late, his high standards of editing have fallen, etc., etc. And we did nothing until it was too late. And he died a very young man in recent times. But that is to indicate the need for intervention in situations like that. Let me ask Ballyram Maharaj to comment on what Garth has said and put it in a kind of context that you can make sense of.
Well, there's several things you get out of this. And I will talk about the common entrance and the 200 that failed and the fellow with the gold chain. They picked him up and they have 200 there. And this good sense is God's senior person encourage him in this. I don't know why. Maybe that's what God will answer after. Did he have to buy from a senior officer after? A trade after? But I will not answer that now. We spoke about his parents, father was beating his mother. Did he land up as a single parent in the house or while he's there? And he worked hard and built the ranks. And it's only when he get that crack, it had effect on him, a negative effect on his life, and pressure was put on him. So again, young people listen, how God will tell us they could face peer pressure in school. If somebody offered him and they say, hey, you're a baby, you're a chicken or what, they say, well, I do that already, and how they could say it. In school, when they bring that one, I don't want that man. You have to go with them and don't go with them. Otherwise, you could get bullying and licks. Right? So this is a lesson again that for young people under peer pressure, they have to go along with the people say yes, or the stomach hurting me, and don't criticize them, do not refuse it, but find medical reasons to overcome the peer pressure. So that be said, and I would like to take the opportunity now, which is hurting me still, when I see girls now, girls who this year, permit me to elaborate on this. We have a lady president, a lady prime minister, a lady opposition leader. And I say women now are no longer in home, barefooted, nighty, minding babies. We have, not a week ago, spoke about this in the new parliament, where women are taking lead. Now, disappointed I have to see 6 girls beating 1 girl. I really make a call with Tony, your program, your people. The mayor of Arima is asking, I say, the law have to take course on that. But a good person will want to find out, like if Tony comes to me and his belly hurting him as a doctor, I want to find out what caused it. I'm the doctor. I'm asking to get to see the cancer, why Tony belly is hitting him. So I just want the police to take action, and I'm calling on the Ministry of Education. Let's use this in my business, what I learned. Whether it's cocoa planting, tomato planting, get some money from professional psychologists. Go in that school from tomorrow and do a thorough investigation. What was the cancer part? Those 6 girls beat that girl. And let it be known to the other children of Trinidad and Tobago who are our next leaders. I say no more.
Yeah, I want to carry. That's fine, Ballyram. But I want to take you back to your own family environment. And how did that assist you and your brothers? How many brothers you had?
It was 8 children and
8 children.
5 brothers and 3 girls.
Right. How did that family life assist all of you from not going in the wrong way?
Well, in those days, Tony, we're talking about 70 years ago. I was 15 years or 14 years.
So you're 84 now, Bali?
I'm traveling, yes. I'll be next birthday.
Yeah. You show your birth paper, right? You looking like 70, man. Or is that
No,
not right?
no, we don't talk about age, but we talk about what good it is, what my thing. And I came here today, I talking to you. I really wanted to get in parents and the teachers.
Yeah.
Was if I was playing cricket in the Savannah on a Saturday, and Mr. Peters, my teacher, passed, a ducking in the ground, the respect from school. When you go in school, I'll talk about parents just now. We have to say prayers in the morning. Hindu, prayers 12 o'clock. When you come back, we thank God for the Jesus for the lunch. When we go home, we pray again. That is not there. Teachers dress with tie and thing. When you talk to the teacher, you know if you're the cleaner now. I am going to talk because I am a senior citizen. All these things have to stop, and many more. And
so you say,
let me finish with the parents.
Hold on. Before you move off of that, I want you to to illustrate the fact or identify the fact of the role that religion played in your life and your family life. Reaching out to something that is bigger than you for assistance. Was that important?
Very, very important. If I take you back to the beginning, I tell you, in that Jaji bundle, there was the Ramayana and the Quran and everything that was inside of it. And they follow those prayers. One of that community, all the Jaji family, Jaji mean brothers, but they're not blood brothers. They come and have a Bhagavad, a Ramayana, 7 days, share food, give money to the poor, whatever you could afford, you give. And the one of the philosophy my father told me, see, if any one of us let us down, let him down, he'll forsake you all. And we are afraid of them. And he took us, he played with us. Went in the sea, we played windball cricket, boys and girls, several families, Sunday, take us to the cinema. But we work hard for the week. And at least Sunday was a holiday. And he made sure we had a family gathering. If we don't go nowhere, we eat the same time or noon time, we must have lunch together.
Okay.
Another family will come. But that environment, Tony, culture and environment goes hand in hand. I grew up in Arima. I grew up in Param. I'm a Hindu. I grew up in steel band. I started a steel band with Mr. Larus. You will know that, Tony Laru. Yeah, one of them was Leroy and so on. Larus. And we started Teen Stars in 1958. But here it is. We had Pan around our neck. And Karachilo, those days, you know them. Ford, you know all of them. We had a slightly upper class people between Pan now. Korea and Springer. But when you're there and you hear but your mother come in, you put out the pan in your cotton bush. So I was the one who was kind of moving a little zigzag, not sticking in line with prayers too much. I used to follow it, but man, the baseball in my head, when the environment, the culture is what these young people will get. I did it. I started the Parang Association. I sponsor Angels Arms. It's here. I didn't go currently where it's more that type of environment. When I go there, it's news to me and I see these Indian dances and so on. But in my arima here is more less percentage than a mixture of the others.
A mix-up place.
Yeah, it's a Jarim.
Yes.
And you come here.
I want to hear Garth on the questions that have been raised by Ballyram Maharaj. Religion, culture, association, and so on. Were those things an important part of your life? And where did you grow up? What part of the country? Yeah, the microphone. You have to unmute. Unmute.
Sorry, yes. I was born in T.C. Village, and I grew up in between St. Joseph Village and Fouquier Village in San.
Okay.
Only thing that my mother really insisted on was religion or spirituality. That was, we had to go to church. We were like dragged off the bed, literally, to go to church. She insisted on that. My mother believed in a higher power, and of course, I held on to that as well. As a matter of fact, I think that is what helped me too for the military training. With regard to culture, she was one of the parents who didn't believe in, because I was more, and I think that was part of me that she couldn't deal with, was the fact that I was more attracted to arts, song, music. My brother, every time he's in a bad mood, will remind me that Juve morning when we went downtown with him and my sister, and me being the eldest, when I'm not got into school, he played drums with T and Tech mode at the time. And I saw the band passing and I just jumped on the on the trailer with him, and just forgot they were there. And because I was interested in that, and somewhere they got lost and all that music. And he never forget that up to this day. We are senior to do 93 man every time he gets angry. Because I was more drawn to the arts. So I started playing drums in our wax dance company, and much to my mother's chagrin, when I took home an African drum, she almost lost her mind because she was one of the parents who felt that this sports and culture scene ain't getting nothing from that. So forget that. Look at the neighbor, and they studying to be doctors and lawyers. And so that's another mistake that most parents make, comparing their children to the neighbor children. And look at your cousin, what your cousin doing. Mm, that's so we were always fighting for some reason, you know. So of course, she was a single mother because when my father left, she was left on her own to grow us up. So yeah, she just couldn't handle the fact that we were more outgoing, more interested in sports and culture. And I think that drove a wedge between us. My sister and brother always saying, "I love you more than anyone." I said, "No, but how?" Um, I used to get licks made to order because she used to like pile up stuff that I did during the week and then for my grandfather, and he would come on the weekend, and it was like a sideshow for them because I could see it up to this day. Three of them standing, and I'm in the middle of the living room, and he blazing my tail with an electric cord. So, because parents then felt that you could have beat discipline into a child, not understanding that the more you beat a child, the further away you push them from you mentally. Because something I do when I lecture in schools, I would ask children, how many of you in here, at growing up home would get together with your brother or sister by yourself and plan that they can't wait till you reach 18 to get a job and leave home. Hands would go up in the air. And I am saying, that's not a good thing. Some people would laugh at that in the classroom and tell you, but say, no, that's nothing to laugh at. That's not a good thing because there's something going on at home that will make a child at the age of 14, 15 plan to reach 18 so they could get a job and leave home. You know what I mean? So, but the thing I held on to that was knowing that there's a higher power and you have to respect that. And that is what helped me out.
Okay, okay. So religion has some part, or the belief, if you don't want to categorize it as religion, the belief in a superior God, a supreme God, must
Yes.
surely help in the circumstances.
Yes, it did. It did. I'm sure of that because I found during my practicing days, I found myself in some situations that only God could explain how I got up. You know.
Okay. All right. So we just to inform our listeners, we are following up a program that we did earlier this week, looking at how young people are stuck in some difficulties, and we have so many examples of that kind of thing today. Meaning, over the last few days, there have been a number of reports about fighting, about violence in schools, about drugs, etc., etc. And we're hoping to reach some people outside there who believe that, that's the end line for them. We've heard from a number of people that, including Garth Sinclair, that in his instance, a difficult family experience and then going into the army and getting drugs placed in your way. You would think that the army is a place that would not have that kind of influence, but surely in his instance it did. So, Chalo, just to give our listeners an appreciation of the station that we are broadcasting on, and what do you do to get onto the station?
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, Tony. So we're going to take a short break and come back.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rum Box. Drinking out of the box.
This summer, give your child skills of a lifetime with several boot camp. Children between the ages of 5 to 17 come enjoy Children Iron Chef Competition. Your child will learn to prepare healthy breakfast, lunch, dinner, CPR, first aid, and conflict management. With field trip, your child will be given free apron and certification upon completion. Call 492-7397 or 336-4935. Institute of Health and Fitness Company Limited, located at number 79 St. Vincent Street, Tunapuna.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
All right, so we welcome you back to the afternoon drive time. Of course, you are listening to the Era TT Radio. We are internet-based radio. And of course, you would not find us on the normal FM band, but you'll find us all over the internet. Just put in New Era TT Radio and you will get us. You go to our website at newerattradio.com and you'll be able to listen to us all day, every day. We have a variety of programs that we are bringing to you. And of course, we also stream our morning show between 6 and 8 a.m. on M&E TV, which streams to most of the cable channels like Digicel, Amplier, Flow, and Tricore. Of course, you can also pick us up on our social media platforms like this one. You're picking us up on YouTube. You're getting us on Facebook. You can also get us on Instagram. And, of course, we're also on TikTok. So there are a number of ways that you can tune into us at New Era TT Radio. Thank you very much, Tony.
Yes, and thank you, Sir Charles. We continue talking about possibilities. And really the objective of the program is to, and it's one in a series of programs. You're going to have another one next week and continue as far it is possible so to do. The objective being that, to give example to some young people who feel that they're in difficult situations, and in reality they are in difficult situations, but there are ways out of those situations. And we talked about family life, we talked about religion and prayer, we talked about parenting. There's good and bad parenting, and we've heard a little bit of all of that. And we have two persons with us this afternoon. Garth Sinclair, who's a former soldier. Sorry, he's a soldier. I made a mistake and said former previously, and he corrected me. Once a soldier, always a soldier. Right, Gus? And yeah, he's a program producer himself, dealing with subjects like this. And maybe he will get wise Sir Charlo and bring his program over by us, where you get a wider and bigger audience, right? Right, Charles?
I think, right? Well, we'll hope so at some point in time. We go a long way back.
Right. So and I forgot to mention that Garth is also a Calypsonian. He mixes up in the Calypso business annually and does his thing. And then we have Ballyram Maharaj, who is at present the mayor of Arima, somebody who has been in the supermarket business for some time. And as I indicated before, he's one of the pioneers of the small supermarkets which are dotted all around the country now. And he talked about family life, he talked about religion, he talked about culture, him being involved in all kinds of cultural activities, both within his own religious background and outside of it, including Steban business and so on. So we've done all of that to indicate that there are stories to be told, by these two gentlemen with great experiences, various experiences, that we can all learn from, even from those who may not be in the kind of difficulty that we see expressed today. But let me go back to Garth to give an indication as to what transpired when you were moved out of the army because of the drug addiction.
Um, well, after being discharged, I went back home, of course, and my mother didn't know what hit her because of the military's way of not dealing with our problem, because we only found out later when it was a little too late after the statute of limitation that the Defense Act spoke to treatment and not discharge. So they had a zero tolerance policy of drug use, which was really not legal. But we were discharged nonetheless, and now I am a trained soldier, hooked on crack cocaine, going back home to my mother. And it wasn't a pretty sight for her. She, apart from being embarrassed, her only son who went to the military, her eldest, now is back home on a crack addict and stealing everything that could move from her. Until one day she got totally frustrated and went on the back step, put her hands to the heaven and said, Lord Father, kill my son for her, because she couldn't take it any longer. And that's after I stole some grapes that she thought she had in her cupboard. And I said, well, you have to go and kill me for some grapes. But the fact is, she was done, you know. So I left, I went to Forest Way, and I started doing aerobics in the gyms, of course, started stealing from the gym, joined a band. And while I was at the gym, actually, unfortunately for Adam Marcial, who was the leader of Kalian at the time, who heard me singing and decided to ask me to join the band. And I did join the band. I was the lead singer one time for a while until I stole $76,000 worth of equipment from the band. And
so you were still on the drugs in the meantime.
Yeah, of course. You see, I just knew that I had this habit. I didn't know how to drop it. I would try, but because when I was at home, my mom took me to Quora. I stayed there for the 3 months. But when I returned, I started using again. And I relapsed. You know, it gets worse every time. I went up to New Life Ministries. I graduated then. I relapsed again. And because I was going back to the same environment all the time, you know. And so when she had enough, I went to and I saved her by a friend for the time, and but I was working in the gym because people from the gym community knew of my prowess as an aerobic instructor. So they had me nonetheless, and that time there was a gym at Long Circular, more called Long Circular, the gym at Long Circular, and I started stealing from them, and then that's when I met Arthur. And it turns out I got an apartment to rent on Corporate Street. And I went to Shady, actually, brother, and nurse, his block. So I was like at home now, you know. Um, the landlady told me one time she was going out for a weekend to keep an eye on the place, and poor thing, she didn't know what I would have done. And I took all the furniture, you know, where I was staying and sell it. And she found out she asked me to leave. So I didn't have any other place to go. I needed to stay in the band. And of course, my habit stayed with me too. And $76,000 later, I was arrested and charged. That was in December 1990. And I was sent to prison for 6 months. And it's that trip to prison that really hooked me up. You know, rehabilitation didn't, but prison life. When I saw prison life, I wasn't what that. And he said, no, this belongs me. This is not for me. I unfortunately had to take that to wake me up. And in our field of narcotics anonymous, they call it the nuclear blast. So that was my nuclear blast. Fortunately, because some people nuclear blast, they either lose an arm, a leg, they almost lose their life, they get shocked up through acid and they fall them after people before they get themselves. Mine was just walk to prison. And our prison system, it is not of the best. So that woke me up. The first night I spent on that floor field and smelling that PC's whole night, woke up the next day on Frederick Street and went out in the yard and saw all of this happening and I said, this is not for me. So I made up my mind that when I left prison, and for about a year, but I did 6 months because of good behavior. And I was out again in 1991, June 11th of June 1991. And since then, I never looked back. I cracked cocaine and I was done.
I want to just take you back to when you talked about, joining the band, getting a job here and there, and so on. Were you operating outside of, stealing and so on? Were you operating like a normal person? Could people look on you and say, "Well, Garth, I think Garth's on some stuff and so on, and we have to be aware of it," or were you just normal?
Um, for one time, I was a functioning addict, but then eventually it um, it started to show because I would started to look on, started to lose a lot of weight, you know, not getting along with people, um, and always would have to leave the job and go and hide somewhere and take a hit, come back, and so people started noticing. So like everything, it's a progressive disease, and it started to progress, and then the absenteeism start. And I remember, and just yesterday I was giving these guys a joke because one of our good friends, just from around by me, relapsed again. But remember, one time, and I was always lucky to meet nice people who would get me nice places to stay, and I would just take advantage of that. And time I was living in Santa Monica, and walking, I had to walk a good ways to get the crack. So by the time I walked the car, I had to go look for 12. I was back home about 10. By the time I settled down and started smoking and all this kind of thing, and I just call the neighbor and ask the neighbor for the phone borrow and call long circular mall and say, look, there's a bomb in the mall. Just so that I don't have to go to it. That's how bad it got. And it's well, of course she didn't believe me. I said, damn, I didn't get it right. But she, that was to tell you how deep in I went, you know, just so that I could satisfy that. So yes, it progressed after a time, and people did, started noticing. And then clients in the gym now, ever so often would come and complain about somebody went into their locker and took something, you know. I remember Israel Khan used to go there and I stole his pockets, a pair of white pockets, I never forget that. And, he almost teared a gym up because, but they knew that, we could have been. And there was eventually when somebody, the gym supervisor saw me coming in with an amplifier because I think that after work I was going to head straight to the guy who was buying them from me. And she saw it. And it was kind of strange, and she knew after the time, so she told him what she saw. That is when they started investigating and realized what was happening.
Right, right. So it took for you a kind of realization of a hard reality of being in prison, not a nice place to be, to determine that you had to get out of the situation. And we're going to talk about how you got out of the situation in a while. But just let me ask Ballyram Maharaj to come in and reflect on the things that Garth Sinclair has talked about and put it in the context of you moving up from your family business into your own stream of operations, and how did you get that sense to expand into the supermarket business in which you developed? We're not hearing you. I
Good. Okay, you hear me now? Right. The beginning, those are the answers. Culture, environment, parents, single parents, religion, peer pressure, right? But I'm not clear in my mind where God had that control in him, which he gets out. Where is the part he got out? Because we heard something like comparing children with children is one of the most difficult. That don't work good with children at all. Anytime you compare, why you don't be like your brother? You don't give trouble. Well, now you're getting more trouble than the other one. So I could talk about the same thing, but first I might tell God, congratulations. That willpower you have there, it's still, and I either missed it, I don't care, understand, like other people, how you get them out, to, like yourself. I didn't quite care,
Okay.
understand that
All
that
right.
willpower you had there.
So guys, I think what he said, but I'll allow him to say it for himself. It's that the reality of prison brought him to his senses. Gus, you go ahead with the story.
Yes, yes, Barry, the reality of losing it all and going to prison is what brought me to my senses. Because the environment, remember, even though my home was dysfunctional, my mother still tried her best to make it comfortable for us. And then having gone to the military and getting the respect from chief of defense staff come right down. Because I remember this is come around Moving William when he heard about this young PTI, he's notorious. My nickname was the Energizer. So that's to tell you all, that they really respected me. But when you become a number, you're no longer, you lose your name as you say in the military, because in the prison now you're just a number. When I became a number, so I'm one of those citizens, two regimental numbers, one from the military and one from, if you would call it that, a prison number. And when I was reduced to a number and all that respect was gone from everybody, including prison officers, because now, some would have remembered me, because remember I was a physical training instructor. And a physical training instructor in the military, we did a thing called the physical training instructors course that we held every year for 6 months. And during that, there were a number of servicemen who be part of that course. So they knew me. But in prison, nobody cares. And then I realized that I skated right back down the ladder. The respect was no longer there. I lost my name and I had enough time to think if I want to continue this. And what I saw in prison with other crack addicts coming in, that is what changed.
Tony, can I come in now? Tony?
Sure.
Okay. Well, again, I kept on saying repeatedly, I'm speaking to Tony and God, but with the ears of children. So let me see if I could calculate for those children who maybe love their parents. Jail is not a nice thing. So don't ever think you're there. I guess we can tell them that now, for what we are listening here. In your case, having a regimental personal number, you went a prison number, and those children who are listening, we want to make it abundantly clear that don't ever reach there. If you are in the police, temptation comes, or the soldier, try to reach the head, try to be the commander. You see, in the case of police, the chief commissioner of police, aim for the highest. And the gentleman, one of, just as my father told me, if I ever let them down, the 8 children, from boys and girls, he will forsake them. I am telling the children today, no matter what ups and downs you have, always aim for the head. No matter you'll have it. Life is made up of opposites. By the time you're born, you will die. That is a must. Rain, hot, good, bad, and my spiritual teaching tell me the Creator created all of us and gave us certain names, Jesus, Allah, Jehovah, whatever. We are Hindus, Ram. What he tells us, you don't have to go to church to meet Jesus or Ram. We are carrying that spark inside of you. And the body is made up of thoughts in the mind. The mind is controlled by two sides. That is the Hindu faith. And that spirit we have inside here, Jesus, Ram, Allah, Ram, Jehovah, he's here with us. And when the zombie side, the monkey side here, is telling you, go take a crack. The intelligent side here to tell them, from the heart, spark here, behave yourself, don't do that. You'll end up in jail like Garth. And that is how is the message I will use Garth today. On this forum, the teacher, the children, no matter what church you go to, it boils down to one thing, their spirituality, your giving, your make, your kindness, morning, good evening, excuse me, it comes from here. Because you'll always have this left side here is the monkey, wicked side. They have no concern about where I go to jail or go to the regiment on this. The intelligent side from the heart tells the thoughts that goes to the mind, behave here left side. Let that be a lesson for all the children today. You are the ones to control it. No matter if you have there's a boy from Port of Spain on the Ballyram side. He's a lawyer today. Not because that environment. I think he's in Parliament, a senator or something so.
He's a representative.
What he is?
He's a representative. He represents Laventille West, I think.
Thank you, sir. I should know that. But the thing is, the message young people must know. They are they have to be the parents or a neighbor or teacher. You have to learn that control of the positive and the negative when that stupid thoughts come here to make that decision. Let any intelligence and intellectual part control the monkey part, the negative part. So what you told me there, God, that lesson you learned from jail and you change. I love your philosophy. You had the same number, but that number was not the number to make you the commander. It was make you bring it down. And you were fortunate because in the jail, I know people went in there and they learned how to do worse outside. But the little divine you had inside of you, by changing the numbers of a regiment number to a prison number, you say, I ain't going back in this thing. But not all young people who make prison really have that faith. And that's why I elaborated now that divine spark we carry must control. And these are factors. This is from the Vedas. The Vedas is the deepest book in the Ramayana. Is that you have two control inside of the thoughts. Is like electricity coming from the mind, and you have to control that. And that monkey side, or that wicked side, or that no care side, or saying things that is not right, even that too. Sharon, if you have to say something, think side, consult the intelligent side, and then say. When you say words that is not nice to people, it is worse than lashing them and beating them and cutting them in. This will cure. But that word, that disrespect to elders or fellow citizens, we must see that spark in every human being, Sharon. And let us change our way, no peer pressure. Nobody can make me do it. If as I said earlier, Sharon, if somebody forcing you and they say, hey, you're the little baby, tell them my belly doesn't hit me, find a lie. I say lie without any apologies. Give them a story Because if those fellas selling that thing and they can't penetrate you, they will tell you all kind of things, and that would lead to the bullying part and the licks part. I said, Tony, is that I want to use this model with this new government here. Let the police do the work with these children. I'm appealing in your program, with your permission, that they bring in some top class psychologists to get the cancer part. Why 6 of our young ladies had to beat another child. And where we have ladies in the president house, in the parliament, in the opposition, I think we need to get that. Do not just do what is law provided by the law, and then do not find, they must find the cause and that cancerous thing why 6 young, beautiful girls beat another one. So with that, I hand over to the host.
Okay, so thanks, Ballyram, for giving that sense of where people should go. But let me ask Gus. I want to change your role now, Gus, from the person who got into negative living to a counselor, to somebody who directs young people as to how to live their lives and surely to escape the trap that you fell into. How do you get somebody to recognize that the life that they are living now, a negative life, can be changed?
With, as Barry said, with a lot of intervention. Let me take you back. I think the part of our culture here is demonizing people who've been to prison and not trying to understand that if that would decide to walk the straight and narrow and offer themselves to help, I think we should grant that with open arms. Because I can tell you something, when we started our independence, Mrs. Manning was the Minister of Education then. And we did a program in drugs in school. We had 2 youngsters, one from Mokrako, one from Tanquility, come into the program and spoke about teachers exchanging grades for drugs and all of this. If they had taken that seriously then, Tony, because we asked them, please understand that something is about to go down in this country and they're going after our children. I keep telling them that drug pushers do succession planning as well. Just as Corporation and Tobago who advertise the alcohol and the Coca-Cola and all the coffee and everything, they do succession planning. Same thing with the drug. They never listen. So as a result of that, it started off as a kitten and now it's a Bengal tiger and they're trying to control it now. So then you have to ask in the last administration, I literally went up on my knees and begged, please, I have 2 or 3 people that I can work who've been to prison as well. Let us get a chance to put in the school. But nobody listens. And you see, there's a saying, a wise man learns from his mistake, but a wiser man learns from other people's mistakes. We wanted to show them, these young fellas, what it would be like. And not only that, having a conviction, because you don't have a presidential party. The thing is, once you get a fine or you go to prison, whether for 1 day, once you go for a police certificate of character, it will be a dirty one. So having a conviction with a lot of these youngsters who feel, well, the jail is going to prison you get more respect when you do that. Remember, as children, we went through different zones. And sooner or later, you're going to want to come out of that when you catch yourself, and it all depends on the geographic application and the ambition that you. But having a conviction puts a feeling over your head, and years later, could be a decade or two later, when you decide, you know what, I'm done with this life, let me go and get a good job. You get the job, but the job requires a police certificate of good character. When you get the police certificate of good character, as has happened with proper friends of ours who wanted to be a pilot at Cannes, but he had a DUI conviction. The other one wanted to join the municipal police in Spain, but he had a marijuana conviction. 10 years fine. And he couldn't get the job because the conviction. Once you have a conviction, you cannot work for the state. But we can now take a negative and make it a positive and use people like us to help, to set examples, to show people, hey, if you go down there, and I have receipts, I have pictures and all of that to show, you know, and for some reason, we never got the last administration to understand that there's a need for this type of intervention, but an intervention to and not only with children but with parents as well, because we see the behavior with some parents. Some parents, when I do lectures with children and I tell them about smoking and how bad it is for you, a lot of them will say, "Yeah, but daddy would come home, and while I do in my home, he light a joint, and I smell the weed while he trying to do my homework." And so a lot of parents are ignorant what they're creating. And because of that ignorance, and the village no longer growing up the child, we having a lot of we see it now. So no one says it cannot be too late. But when you see mothers or a mother going by a school and walking up to a school child and slapping a school child in uniform, because now we have parents getting involved in this type of thing. So one of my suggestions would be getting the parents involved in a way that you make parents teachers meeting mandatory. And the parents will tell you, put time off, excuse it, because I would be asked to speak at parent teachers meeting. And when I walk into that hall, you only have 15 parents. So how many children go to school here? They say 200, but we only have 50. But their registration, all of them can find time to come. So I think the government also start looking at making parent teachers meeting a mandatory exercise. And if you don't show up, especially if your child who given trouble in school, I think that's one of the things that we need to look at, the intervention from not only the children but on the parent side as well. Right. Because getting a conviction, they will see how it will come back on them years later.
Yeah. How do parents respond? Because you're making a big point there, that not only the children have to be worked on, but also the parents who are doing negative things and putting their children perhaps even further behind. How do you get to parents to tell them about these things, to educate them, inform them? Some parents may be strung out themselves on some kind of, something. How do you get them to listen and change?
I think the state has to step in here now, Tony. I think the state has to step in because you see the state left it up to the principal and the school teacher. And they're not listening to the parents, the principal and the school teacher. You know, some parents will be going in school to beat up a teacher. That is when you see them. You know, so I think the state has to get involved here and put their foot, slam their foot down, and get parents in each jurisdiction, in the schools as well. Start with that. I think starting with holding parents accountable for something as simple as attending PTA meeting. Or if a teacher calls you and tell you they want to see you, you don't have time. It's important. We keep hearing that, you know. And I think the state now, because from our level, we have talk shows aplenty. we have things going on the news that parents see. And like you said, there are some parents who not leading by example. They have marijuana all over their home. Some children could now get marijuana to carry in school. Right? And it's time, we think, we flip the script and holy parents are comfortable for what they're doing or what they're not doing. Because I'll give you a quick example. Heading west in Chabonas, heading to Chabonas flyover, and the second traffic light before the flyover, this mother and daughter decide, oh, I have the green light. This mother and daughter decide they cannot wait because they're going to get a taxi, the guy calling them, come, and they walk out in front of my vehicle. That was family brakes. So I put the glass down and when this kind of situation, I said, Mom, you just lost an opportunity to show your child how to use the traffic light across safely. Who tell me say that? And the driver now telling me you should have bounced there. You should have bounced there, and I say, now if you listen to what I'm saying, these are two adults who have a chance to school a child and self-threatening me. So well, I end up on the red light because now they took that time that I had to proceed. And today I was so hurt. And it's me almost tear, thinking that if I had come close to these people, this big man probably might have tried to put me under my people and fight with me for something that I was not wrong, you know. And is there and then I called Natasha immediately and I went in coming up to I didn't know how to talk to somebody about it. And it brought me back to the realization that the adults really spoiling our children in this country. The adults have given up their role, most of them. And a teachable moment like that, they turn that into I am the bad guy, or do I have the green light? So these two, this mother and daughter, so happened. Because if I was an ignorant driver, I say, yeah, I'm right away, man. Remember, next thing you know, big back on the show, end up on social media with people trying to beat me for exercising my right as a motorist to be in the traffic signal. We thus feeling our children, and this time I feel the state step in and start holding our girls accountable.
Let me ask, I'm coming to you now, Ballyram Maharaj, as the mayor of Arima. Is there room, is there responsibility for you as the mayor to develop programs to deal with most parents and young people who are getting themselves in trouble?
Well, to start with, permit me to just explain the politics of Arima and 2 years in the membership. We have a town hall was designed for that with an engine room. We got everything inside there. We are well equipped with cameras and we given free Wi-Fi, everything there. But that town hall has been repaired for 7 years. I have to use my private place office. And that is one of the things. I on bended knees today. Permit me to use your office. They're paying for social welfare building over for years. And that is where I know the building, and that is where we can bring people to lecture like what is going on today. This thing going on today is not only you fight crime with gun and police, you know. We are fighting crime here. This is how we can stop breeding criminals. This is how we can do it. And I'm agreeing with you. I'll be happy to use my expertise or experience. I didn't go to university like you know, Tony. I'm tomato boy. I know to water a plant. I know to pick a tomato. And I would like to share this knowledge over 66 years and to stop breeding criminals. I have a whole document on the of revising the education system. And I said it before, is a series with a whole combination. I know when my nephew and him was I sick, writing comprehension, they sick, everything, results are sick, grandmother sick, neighbor sick. That is outdated. And I'm using my words carefully. I say revisit the education system. As long as we have that, we will continue to have this sort of thing. And people like Garth and yourself, where we can probably kind of reduce it. We can't stop it. Everything will add to fight crime. A man like Garth had to become complimented that he passed it and he went through this whole thing. And when you get a number in the jail, that makes him in. And jail is not nice. And we here, the second year question, I don't have the town hall. I begging and bending these right? 7 years, 2 years of my time. I need it. I need a social welfare. That will go in there. The building is there already. I don't have a place to put it. But I'll tell you something. My manager at this store downstairs, if a fella we know is in drugs and he come for something hungry here, he's not supposed to leave without getting something to eat. I won't give him money. The manager has the right, and that happened yesterday. But how we can help other than that? That's all I can say. Give them something to eat, and then we'll have once in a while, have a soup to feed all of them. But what you are saying is we should have in schools and some place where we can counsel children, because children can have a problem, a peer pressure problem. And I say, in the case of drugs, and if they don't take it, that could be one of the causes they'll beat that child. And if they don't think, you're telling them, look, children, you have a problem, talk to your partner, your parents, a teacher, or a good friend, and let them help you get out of it. But don't let those others, God will know this better than me, influencing you and bullying you. And if you retaliate or refuse, might be the better word, they will make an example of you. I am again saying, yes, the police have to interfere. He have to do his job for that children there. 6 girls beating 1 girl. We must have a total investigation of what is the cause of that. And there, as God come from a security part, will tell us, let's deal with that cancer part. Why 6 young girls? Not 6 boys, 6 girls beat 1 girl. So we need that, Tony, and I think it's very important that I get my social welfare office and we don't have it. Sometimes I take a chance. My book stated where I was playing tennis one day and a big strong man begged me for some money to buy something to eat. And I asked him the question, but look at this shine. What you doing? Why are you doing this for? And he said, I have to work and I have no place to stay. So I said, come 8 o'clock and meet me. I took a chance. I gave him some money, and today it's in this book, and Pastor Coffee wrote on that fella, where I bring him, he was begging me for food. I took him there. I not supposed to speak about it, but I just for learning, I was able to change him, and Pastor Coffee endorsed it in this book. That gentleman can't thank me and Pastor Coffee. So how much of time we see as citizens, especially others, 10 o'clock in the day, you're seeing some children around a little funny place like it. Stop the car, I will do it. I have a driver. I'm saying, what are you doing here now? Now is school time. How much adults will want to do that? I might be going to and you might say, wait, that's not your business. I'm a Trinidadian. I am a Remian by birth, and I'm a Trinidadian. I say, well, before the can go, I'll get police. I see your uniform, and they move out. But I did what I supposed to do. Suppose the taxi was some taxi waiting at them to some. We as be part as adults must be part of the. Yeah, we can't say police or the teacher or the father is a single child. Everybody have to see this country come back on board. Come back on board. And it's very important, an important question. I wish Tony, I started this, I was a foundation member of the Supermarket Association. Foundation member of Crime Stoppers in 1999. And I think that is where we should move Crime Stoppers from Port of Spain and make 12 all over the country. And make it a place where people find trust in Crime Stoppers. We build trust. We are now connected internationally, Crime Stoppers. You see? And we will be able to, where people have confidence, for a few dishonest police, people compare the whole of them as one. And that's the thing we should stop as parents. From the time you hear them, let's say, them Catholic, them Indian, them this one, those kind of people, they call them white people, that group, you classify them as one, and you're telling each other that, well, all 1% and all kind of things. No, you will have bad and good. And they had to let each other know that. Work with the good and deal with the bad, or you can help that individual. I tell my staff that, not everybody is perfect. And early on, I told earlier about the intelligence and the control inside here. I told them where we have to do the spiritual teaching. And I said, not the religious, a little bit of religious, but your spiritual, with your morning, good evening, excuse me, you have a lead and that is not yours. What is that doing here? What you wearing that Mikey shoe or Nike or something shoe? You're bringing big gold chain in your neck and you're not working for that. And you are the parents and you're glad to get that. You're encouraging it. And we need to get this, based on the first question to this question, we need to get a place. I am constructing a mall in Arima to leave a room where people can go in and have a discussion, where the Muslim could break their fast on a Friday, a little room, and I will donate it, that consultation, and have some good people, trustworthy people who resign to carry on there, that anybody have any problem, can have a room there to do it. So I'm trying to find a place to put it in the mall there. Okay. And be it one of a kind, try to make a model for other people to follow. A little 20 by 20 room where we could have maybe a little upstairs and downstairs. They pray downstairs and they have got privacy upstairs to talk to children who cannot have problem home, who have a stepfather interfering with them. It would bleed my heart when I see some big, like police officers, priests, pastors interfering with little children. And they can't tell nobody. They have to learn to tell somebody. Tell a priest, a pastor, or a friend. And this conversation today, I was hoping that it reached the ears of parents, the police officers. We hear inspectors did the wrong thing. I think 2 ladies again, some case going on there. That zombie side here, you have a uniform, this police uniform, you have to respect it. Now I ain't condemning any police and that, press like they do something. 2 female was charged, and for a few dollars or something, whatever it is, I don't even know the consent. And it's an ongoing case, say. I am saying temptation is something, the spirit inside of us, with a little bit of religious teaching and the spiritual practice must control that thoughts to get out there and come in intelligent side. I talk a lot, don't me?
All right. Let me ask Gus to wind us up. I have a question along the same lines that Ballyram Maharaj has been talking about of why get yourself involved in this thing? You've overcome your problems. You have skills and capacity to earn your living and so on. Why bother with going down this difficult road? And it must be a difficult road. I could just imagine taking up, absorbing other people's problems. You're going to try to lie down in the night and this thing coming back to you all the time. Why get yourself involved in that?
Very good question, Tony, because I had left Trinidad and Tobago bound never to return after I was released from prison because I tried to reintegrate and people kept reminding me of my past. But while I was out there in Canada, I came back one year and I saw a sailor who was discharged and he ended up a vagrant. And, and then I studied, I said, well, wait a minute, a lot of youngsters going to follow in our footsteps and walk that road. And I just decided one day that I made a phone call from Flatbush. I called Natasha and I said, I come back home, I want to start a program already because I'm feeling it for my people that crack cocaine is going to spread through this country like wildfire. And it did. So that is when I made the decision I need to tell my story so I can help others. So I ended up returning, and 23 years later, here I am. I only did it because I didn't want parents to experience what my mother experienced. I did it because I didn't want other soldiers to lose their career because I love the military with all my heart. And I promised that if once I die and return, I ask God, send me right back to Tron Barracks, let me start again and start my career over because I would want to do nothing else but be a soldier. That's the reason I just didn't want others to feel the pain that I felt. But I didn't know it would have been this difficult because it's in Trinidad and Tobago, there's not many bands around. There are not very many. It has been a roller coaster ride. That I am an NGO that is literally struggling for fun. And we try to get corporations and people involved. They're not coming on board. But yet, people calling us now and asking us for help. Either put people in rehab. Sometimes we do it out of our own pocket, but we can't do that any longer because it's a strain on us. And sometimes we feel like really throwing in the towel. But I said, we if we can achieve this year 24 years of our independence, I would love nothing more than to be given the opportunity once again to go to the schools and do lectures and also back in the military because I started doing that. But what happens in Trinidad and Tobago, from one government to the next, from one PS to the next, from one minister to the next, things change. There is no continuity. And that's the problem with us. There's always a gap to fill. And every time somebody comes, you have to find, I wonder who's the PS there now, boy. And we end up getting stalled. And I experienced that before, and I don't want to do it again. And I look at my ex is at my side constantly with this too as well, because she was brought into this. And sometimes I like to see, but when I'm independence, I can't do independence because she is the right hand for independence. So I am just hoping that the door will open again and do what Ali is suggesting, get a foot in again so that I could give my brand of medicine because it's not easy having a bag of medicine and watching people get sick and you're not being able to administer that medicine.
Deliver.
Yeah, frustrating.
So, gentlemen, Ballyram Maharaj, sorry, the mayor of Arima, grocer in his own right, and Garth Sinclair, somebody who has been there and got out of there and is assisting in attempting to stop other people from going into that dungeon. We want to thank you very much, and Gas, give my regards to Natasha, and all the best to you and your efforts going forward. We thank you very much for being with us this afternoon, and our listeners come back next week Monday, and we have another program for you.
Well, before you close off here, let me say thanks to you for calling me. Thanks to Garth too. And thanks to the manager of the station, I don't know. And I wish you all well because what you are doing here, you might be doing business, but you are doing what is, community work. So right. I wish you all continue on this level so we can continue to do this kind of service to humanity and more so Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you all and God bless you all and have a great evening.
Chalo, just tell our listeners what time the program is going to be rerun tomorrow.
Yes, so this program will be rerun at 8:20 around that area there tomorrow morning at New Era Radio, newerattradio.com, and we look forward to you joining us, people.
Okay,
thank you.
Over to you, Chalo.
Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you very much to Mr. Bali and also to Garth. Garth, we will talk.
Yes, please. Yes. Call me, right?
Yes, no problem. I got that. Thank you so much. And Tony, thank you very much. Another fantastic program. People, this has been the Drive Time Exchange right here on New Era TT Radio. Stay connected. We'll be back shortly.
Voices from the ghetto. Help us, Father. Oh, Lord. Mothers does just hold it head on ball. And them woman stronger than a wall. A big pusher eyeing she daughter. Son in jail for manslaughter. Too bad for he and them bad boys. No bail, that's the black man's choice. Like Shadow say, poverty is hell. She little girl child belly start to swell. Some say life is a cycle. But don't draw, she no circle. Where will it all end? Only time could tell. Outside the siren keep howling. Inside your belly will growling. Police raid very often. Simpson measuring a coffin. One night in bed you're sleeping. Next night is a wake that you're keeping. So you're praying to win the lotto. Not to hear voices from the ghetto. Voices from the ghetto.